So the parents and the coaches did a really great job of just following all our COVID policies and procedures and not contributing to that. So that was really, really awesome. I know Matt and I were both anxious going into the season, kind of wondering what that was going to look like and hopeful that we would get through it successfully, which we did, which has us really excited about basketball, which starts November 9th. Our registration for basketball is now open, but it's closing this Sunday. So that's a partnership that we do with 6 other communities. It's obviously indoors, so it requires a little bit more policies to make sure that we're keeping the kids and families and spectators safe. So we've been working with the other communities as well as the schools to make sure that we're all on the same page about what that's going to look like. But we're really excited to be offering basketball and just keep things going so we can offer sports for the community. So,
is there any adult basketball?
Yeah, me and John have a pickup league.
Yeah. Wait, for real?
It is in the process. We basically, like right now, the schools, we use Horizon and Maple, and then Eagle Heights is for competitive stuff. So there's kind of like the only options would be the high school or the middle school, which both have basketball themselves. So I was trying to find that time where we have availability in the school schedule to do adult basketball.
Yeah, if you guys have adult one, let me know.
Yeah.
For sure. And we've had a lot of people from Liberty who are interested in participating because Liberty hasn't canceled their season, but they've postponed it. Their Parks and Rec department has. So we're seeing a lot of their people wanting to come here, which is awesome, but they do K through 8th grade, right? 8th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we just started 3rd grade, so we're having a lot of requests for younger divisions, which is something we can look into for future seasons. The communities that we partner with don't currently do that, so that's...
Yeah, they don't have enough kids to do 2nd grade and lower. So.
There was a one we went to, the cathedral, there's tons of kids.
Yeah, the one just right down the road, Jenny. Yeah.
Yeah, down on 16.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's something to look into in the future, but
Yeah.
for now, we're just sticking with 3rd through 6th grade and hoping for a really successful...
This is only our 2nd year taking over the basketball program, so it's still, yeah.
Cool.
And it's age with 3rd grade now, I guess you can play.
Yeah, get her out there.
There's no other. And once we have the Heritage Park basketball court, we can do our...
Yeah, we do a little more, some 3v3 tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We're talking about haunted...
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I got my tickets.
This Saturday is the haunted campground. The campsite sold out super fast. Our vendor spots, we had 25 spots for vendors. Those also sold out really fast. So we're excited for that. We're hoping to have a good crowd, but obviously staying socially distant and wearing masks. We are offering the shuttle. Masks are required to use the shuttle. Participants are also able to walk to and from the parking lot to attend the event. This will look a little different because we are requiring all vendors and campers to wear masks and gloves when they're handing out candy. We've asked that they hand the candy instead of all the kids reaching into the containers of candy. These are small things, but we're hopeful that it's going to help make a big difference and continue letting us to offer these programs during the pandemic. We have had a couple issues on our Facebook event page of people trying to sell the tickets. Obviously, it's a free community event. There are no tickets. There's no registration required. So we've been trying to keep up with that, but there's just a lot of scam that's been happening. And as we delete them and report them, there's just more and more coming. So if you hear of people wanting to buy these tickets or who are bought into the scam, please let them know not to purchase anything through anyone reaching out to them on social media. We do have Angie B. Brock has been super helpful. I know that she's done this in the past, and so we're really excited to have a good event. We have lots of volunteers coming, the schools are participating, so we are excited about it.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything?
No, that was it.
Okay.
I'm going to skip over the campground electrical updates. We're going to get into that when we get into the fiscal year 21 budget. But just to drive down to COVID-19, as Brittany said, we're still doing programs to just find a lot of the procedures. Staffing and patrons at the parks, we're still day by day making sure everything's clean, especially restrooms. And the CARES funding projects, an update on that. The touchless restroom fixtures for all the city's facilities, including the park restrooms, is finishing up. All the parks restrooms are done. They're working on the city facilities where offices are. They are projected to be completed by the end of the month. The Wi-Fi and streaming equipment at Heritage Park was up and running for the T-ball season. The games were live streamed through our YouTube channel. It turned out really well. People really enjoyed it. We tried our best to kind of educate people on how to get there. But when we get into the springtime, if this is still around, this is going to be a huge benefit for the city. So parents and grandparents don't have to come to the game if they don't feel comfortable, so. And then staff is still purchasing supplies and equipment to allow for response to COVID-19. And that is the end of my staff report.
Alrighty. It's been a while, guys. Do we approve the staff report or?
No, you just
Okay, cool.
move on.
Comprehensive plan public comments?
I'll go ahead and do that one. Future IQ and John Stover and Associates presented a draft comprehensive plan to the Planning Commission on October 13th, 2020. Later this week, to early next week, they will open that document for public comments. I will send that information out to you all, and we just encourage you to read that because it's what they've been working on for the past year, and then respond to any public comments you have based on any edits or anything that you would like to see or enjoyed. So, and again, I mean, the comprehensive plan will be a big push for the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that'll be coming up here that we'll talk about next.
And then the Parks and Rec master plan.
Okay, so just this past Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, the Board of Aldermen approved the amendment to the contract with Future IQ to facilitate completion of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Back on December 3rd, 2019, the Board of Aldermen approved the contract with Future IQ to facilitate the comprehensive plan. They also were part of the strategic plan process in 2019. So due to their knowledge, information base established through these two processes, and the fact of the work, and that the fact that much of the work in the Parks Master Plan extends from the work completed in these efforts, we wanted them to be a part of the Parks and Rec Master Plan. So the contract was for $50,000. That was budgeted in the fiscal 2020. We're going to start that project as soon as possible and then have it completed by May 2021. And so Cynthia and I have been working on the scope of work, and so below was the scope of work that we presented to Future IQ and that they're going to present to their consultant that they're going to bring out for landscape architects and go from there. So read through this when you get time. If you like the document that was submitted here, I can email that to you as well. But the main thing that Cynthia and I were talking about through this was to kind of identify our goals and objectives. And I think we hit those right on the nail for what all of the comprehensive plan conversation we had back in August and September. A lot of that was put into here from everyone's comments. So if you do get a chance to read this and you have any suggestions, let me know and I can look to add that in.
Yeah, I took a look at some of it earlier today, and it looked pretty good.
And if you've seen the other documents from Future IQ, they do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little more in-depth than what we have currently.
Does anyone have any comments or questions or anything about that?
I'll add one more thing. So when we start doing the Parks Master Plan, the committee will probably receive a lot of emails and for wanting feedback and suggestions for that document. So be looking out for those communications. And if we do have the opportunity, we'll probably meet in person a couple times to review that document.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do that outside of regular meetings?
Yes.
Most
Like
likely.
Zoom meetings like
Yep.
we did for the,
I would suggest they probably do Zoom meetings, yeah.
It's going to, David's process is going to pretty much be the same, just drilling more into just parks.
Yeah.
The whole-
Yeah.
is it gonna be like the ones that we did before where it's like open to the public, or is it going to be
Yes.
us and Future IQ?
Yeah, they'll probably be a little both,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we tend to open everything to the public.
it'll be kind of on those parts where you're talking about like focusing on a specific park and giving that a theme and a look and everything like that. It's going to be more of that, more in depth.
Okay, cool.
So stuff you'll be really interested in.
Yeah, and also like things I want to know is, we've talked a lot in this committee of putting in a parking lot at Heritage Park. Are we doing the parking lot at Heritage Park, right? But we've never really had any data to say, how big should the parking lot be? Or do we even need to expand it? Or, based on our population, what does it need to look like?
Yeah.
And then right off that is the Parks and Rec sales, or the Parks and Stormwater sales tax, getting those priorities set for 10 years minimum, even though it's a 25-year tax, so. We get the first year prioritized that way, shouldn't be, unless things change, it would be pretty strict on it, following those year to year.
Yeah, and it'll also allow us to do things like go out for bonds, and
Mhm.
if there's a big project they want to do, and, you know, some more than what we can get from the revenues, and go out for a bond to do
It's
something.
gonna be pretty fun.
But if we don't need to do that, we just do stuff every year based on the revenues we get, we can figure out what those look like too.
Yeah, and in the end, they'll submit the draft to this committee, similar they did to the planning commission, and then probably open up public comment, and probably be the same process, so it'd be good.
Has the, no, I'll wait for new business, never mind.
Okay.
All right, any comments, concerns, questions on that master plan? Okay. All right, let's move on to the budget.
All right, so I took some snapshots of the budget that was presented to the Board of Aldermen back in September. And I want to start with the, kind of the first page, which is from our general fund. This is the capital improvement budget. And as you see there, Parks and Recreation is going to be doing phase 1 of campground electrical upgrades. This year alone, we had 130, somewhere around there, 50 amp campers turned away. That's a large amounts. Campers are getting bigger, and we need to upgrade our campsite to help reduce those turns away, but also reduce the amount of calls we're getting on the weekends to come fix the electrical, because it just couldn't handle the RVs coming in. So we're going to be upgrading 18 sites to 50 amp. We did a similar project in 2015, which was a huge, that area that was upgraded to 50 is always sold out. So we're looking to add some extra sites there. It was budgeted for 37.5, and it came under dramatically to around 24.
Who is it, Mr. Electric?
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, it came in around about 24,000, so we saved
So
a
you're
good
gonna
amount.
spend them to spend the rest of it on doing some more sites?
It was something we could look into, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we looked,
Why do we overestimate?
that was an estimate we got from our electrician. Yeah, the same electrician that did the one in 2015, so.
yeah, I would ask Mr. Electric to see what they could get more, and if we
Mhm.
need to come to the board and ask for a little more to get the rest of it done.
Yeah.
If it was that, because when we first looked at this number to do all three was huge, right?
Yeah, it was around
If they
100,000.
came in a
Yeah,
third lower, see what they did to do the whole thing and see if we can, I mean, if it's that big of a demand.
mhm,
Yeah, 50 is a
Yeah.
big deal. I remember we discussed on this committee 2 years ago, I think, about upgrading them. That happened, correct? These are just
No.
the rest of them?
No.
Or it never did actually
no,
happen?
Never
never,
happened.
yeah,
So why didn't that happen?
We didn't have money for it.
Okay.
yeah,
So we do now, and we're, because I remember, like, we discussed that in length of just like
Mhm.
the amount of money that we could be making for those campsites, and then offsetting that with how much we thought it was gonna cost, and
I mean,
so it hasn't happened yet, but we do have the opportunity to do them all, instead of just,
no,
there's a little bit that goes into it to do them all, because
Okay.
there's certain transformers that have to be updated first too, so, yeah, there could be possibly, the sites we're doing, the 18 sites are all on one transformer, so that's why we're doing that in phases, and then phase 2 is gonna be on the second transformer, which would be another 24 sites,
Do work in that.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think our campground has been, especially right now during the pandemic, when like, it's the only thing you
Yeah.
can go do, like, it's definitely,
Mhm.
Well, if you don't
It's a
hit
good
the-
investment.
We'll just spend the rest of the money on
Yeah.
the basketball court.
Yeah, and our, the campground update just off that here is up 10% in occupancy rate, so it's, I mean, this past 2 months has been sold out like crazy, so the month of October has been sold out,
So just so.
on the
everybody-
weekends.
So just so everybody knows too, so this first sheet, right, the capital improvement one, the one you're seeing the streets and the police and all that other stuff on, this is essentially money the city's been sitting on. And we were fortunate enough to have the governor and a few other folks here today, and one of the senators said, you know, if you're gonna tax me, at least spend it.
Yeah.
So this is us spending it.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna just sit on cash, just sit on cash. We have a reserve policy, we have money in the bank. This is money that was in excess of reserve, and we were at like, what, John, like 65% of our budget? And we're only maybe at 40% of reserve or something?
Yeah, I remember when I first came on, it was like, I want to say it was close to $2 million over that they were just holding on, they were hoarding for no reason.
Yeah. So we have if you go and look at the actual budget sheet, there's like a 5 to 10 years, like Matt's talking now, of what can we be spending money on from the capital, from this side of the excess, plus the next side of the sheet you'll get to too.
Yeah.
But that's why you see the stuff in there, the streets and things too. This is, if you look over the next 5 years, we're spending down a couple $1 million in excess of our revenues that's coming in from sales tax and
Yeah.
property tax and those things. Now that could be reduced based on economy and all those other things, but with this year, with people working from home and people being in town, we're actually up 17% in sales and use tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we passed the new sales tax, so Matt's got extra money to spend.
Yeah, we'll get there next. So yeah, so on the second, the Board of Aldermen will see in the mayor, will see the FAQ for the contract for Mr. Electric. And then based on, we'll depend on what the timeline is. He said it takes about 30 days to get parts in. We only have November 1 to April 1 to get the project done. So depending on the quick timeline, I can get with him again to see if there'd be a possibility to amend that contract for some more sites.
And if the ground freezes,
Yeah.
and just so you guys have a heads up too, Smith's Fork's gonna be a little torn up this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you look at the public works budget,
Yeah.
we're doing a new raw water station
Yeah.
and a new,
Yeah.
the sewer for you guys, right? The sewer for the campground and that, and this.
It's around the same area, yeah.
Yeah, we're redoing that too. So that was gonna be like a future project. I said, why can't we just combine all of it? We're gonna tear it up once. So they found the money somehow to do the sewer and the pump station and the electrical. Which I'm guessing the electrical is gonna be tearing up ground too, right?
Yep, yeah.
So it's gonna look a little torn up for a while,
Yeah.
just as a heads up, in case somebody calls you and says, why you have to park?
The drive into the parking area up by the soccer field, when
Yeah.
is that slated?
You want to do that in new business too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
I went the other day and was like, what in the world? Because I was pretty sure we had discussed that also at some point,
Mhm.
but it's been a while.
Mhm.
But I think that was maybe we were putting it in like an order of budget at some point.
Mhm.
I know things got moved
Yeah.
around, so.
All right, and then if you turn the page to the Parks and Stormwater sales tax fiscal year 21 snapshot, if you see under the green line there, it shows what we'll be planning for the first part of that sales tax coming in. So the splash pad improvements, the splash pad is finishing up finally, and we will immediately try to get a fence around it, which will be part of that splash pad improvements, plus benches and shades. So that's kind of all in that 25,000.
It takes like 4 years to build a fence though, so.
To build a what?
Don't we know it?
Yeah. And then the Parks and Rec master plan that we talked about earlier, that is 50,000. And then there's going to be an extra 50,000 for a project to be determined, which we're hoping will come out of that Parks and Rec master plan, and the consultants will recommend for the first project to finish the year.
So that 50,000 is just in excess that we don't have plans for yet?
Not yet. We just didn't want to jump the gun on a project, to do a project right away and then while we're in the middle of a plan, so.
Yeah. Well, the other part of it too is the money is not earned yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't really like say, okay, let's go start the parking lot that you're talking about
Yeah.
right away and put it out to bid, because this sales tax didn't go into effect till October 1st. So businesses probably, at the earliest, we'd see it's like January 1. So it won't be until like this time next year that we'd have that 225 in the bank.
Yeah.
So we've got to get it.
Yeah, so we'll make sure as we do our meetings, we'll give updates on kind of what that is projected each time. Right now, it's projected to be larger than what we predicted. That could fluctuate a lot, so.
Well, yeah, because everything up on the hill, we get 100% capture into this. fun. And so go get your lunch at Price Chopper, Taco Bell, Scooters, McDonald's, wherever. But I've seen a lot of people getting lunch at Price Chopper and dinner and so forth. That all goes, the half cent from all that goes right here, so.
It's this and that other.
And the other, the transportation, or the infrastructure, we got 100% capture. They're not like the rest of the ones that were part of the tax incentives.
Yeah.
We get 100%. So.
And since we share the sales tax with the Public Works, they will be projected to do a project as well for 100,000, so.
Yeah, and if you look at,
Yeah.
if you go look at the trail, you drive out there, the majority of the work's done so far. We started that September,
It was about second week of September.
September
Yeah.
15th.
Yeah, it was quick.
Everything done up until this week was stormwater work.
Yeah.
It was culverts, it was
Yeah.
new.
I mean, if you saw the stuff they were pulling up out of the ground, it was needed.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, it's still sitting there in a big pile, so
Yeah.
yeah, you can see
Yeah.
it. But yeah, that swamp by Grace is kind of probably drained now because the culverts aren't collapsed and there's a place for the water to go. Yeah,
I'll be interested next spring during our flood monsoon season to see how much better that works out. Because that area down there tends to
Yeah.
definitely get pretty backed up,
Yeah.
so it's good.
Does anybody have any questions on the budget? I didn't put the general fund in here, nothing really changed to the general fund. It's kind of all, basically our basic rec expenses and maintenance expenses, so nothing really changed.
yeah, splash pad was good. We need to get some pictures next meeting or get some updated pictures on the website.
Yep, Danny and Brittany are working on
It's my
that.
busy season.
Yeah.
I'll do what I can. Everything for you has been on
Oh,
hold right now. 'cause-
By the way, since you're talking about pictures, co-op that we just did the ribbon cutting on,
Uh-huh.
they did a big like hay bale thing and they'd love to have people take pictures there,
Oh,
so.
yeah. Cool.
While you're looking for picture places.
Yeah. For sure. All right, if there's nothing else on that part, let's move on to new business.
Parking lot,
Yeah, is it the parking? It's not
entryway,
really-
it's the road that
It's
fails.
just the
Yeah.
road that goes in, and from what I remember, it was when Brett was still, head, and he said something about like, there was some put down at one point, and then it failed, and so we were trying to like redo it. Can you give us a little back history for that?
Yeah, it was just, when they put in that new parking lot to the soccer field, it was, that area, the whole area was gravel, so you gravel in and then it was a gravel parking lot, and then they paved the parking lot with the money they had and then didn't have enough to do the rest. And we could keep regrading it and adding gravel, or we could, pave it, and it's a short section, so, when that trail's done, there's gonna be a nice entrance into the park, but it's gonna immediately turn right back to gravel, so,
Yeah, that's what I thought, as part of the trail, we're doing the
Yeah.
off the road to the
Yep.
trail is gonna be concrete,
yeah,
right?
but it's gonna go right back to gravel there.
Yeah, yeah.
And based on past, committee meetings and board retreats, that hasn't been a high priority.
Yeah.
But there is,
Now that we
50,000,
have like a nice big pretty entrance, we
Yeah.
should probably like.
there is 50,000 in the budget, for the sales tax that could be used for that. It's just gonna be based on priority.
Do you have any idea from what we've done in the past there, like a number figure at all?
Well, the thing we gotta look at
Yeah,
is the other thing that's in the budget for this year, which is the engineering for that facility. Because Matt's gonna get some new neighbors in his building.
yeah,
Our water department is going to take over the entire area where streets is right now, because the water has to grow for us to keep up with population. So Public Works, or streets, is at least gonna move out there as well. So in this year's budget, we have engineering for that facility. So I'd like to make sure we get and, because they're gonna probably be exiting and stuff on that road too,
Yeah.
not just the one entry. So we wanna make sure we make it
yeah,
so it'll handle the trucks, salt
Yeah.
trucks and dump trucks and any of that kind of stuff too. So we probably can't do like a thin just asphalt overlay or chip and seal. We might have to do a concrete road or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't know what it's going to cost. But that's one of the things in the budget too, is engineering for that facility.
My thought was just, since we're going to have an entrance there, and it's going to be a nice entrance there, it'd be
Mhm.
great for, like, it not to get torn up, because we have gravel right next
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
So it
I-
just seemed like a convenient time, but yeah, if we're already doing stuff out there, then.
yeah. I think it's gonna be important to relay that to the consultants and Future IQ when we start talking about
That'd be great.
Smith's Fork, things like that. Especially if soccer's getting big and we're already adding more soccer fields outside the fence.
Yeah, we have
That-
to have them
that's the
participate, like, seriously, just like the call that you guys both got today on the
Yeah.
dog park. you can't show up after the stuff's in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've gotta get people in the planning pieces of this,
Mhm.
and that'll help us figure out what the budget's gonna look like.
And I'm sure that master plan for the parks is gonna help with that too, because if we're just gonna keep adding
That's what I'm
soccer
saying,
fields,
they have to
like,
show up to those meetings.
yeah,
If they show up, you don't show up to the meetings, and then 5 years from now, we finally get the money to build the park that we talked about in this meeting that's gonna happen in the next 3 to 6 months. Sorry.
yeah. Yeah, it's just, if we're gonna be turning that area into something like a little different or revamping it through that parks master plan, then it'd be great, just do all of it kind of at once, especially like maybe parking needs to look completely different, but,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And if that's what the plan says, that's when we need to look at things like, okay, we only get $400,000 a year, this renovation's gonna cost 1.5, we need to go out and get a bond or something,
Yeah.
put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
That's what we need to know. Because based on the downtown work, we were able to bond, probably, if we would've went out and done a second bond, it would've been close to $7 million. But the rate revenues are today, you know, we could bond more than that, probably. And if there was a big swing project like revamping all of Smith's Fork to add soccer fields and bleachers, and, you know, if that came out of the master plan, that's something the board would have to look at.
Yeah.
John wants a 12-court basketball facility.
What could be basketball slash volleyball?
Slash volleyball, slash monster truck arena.
I'm down for the monster truck arena.
When you pull out, like Kemper used to be.
It's funny.
Kemper used to have motorcycles and, you know, monster trucks and whatever.
I'll accept that.
Does anyone have any new business, anything else? You had mentioned something, what was it?
I don't know.
Do you remember?
Mm-mm, you didn't finish the sentence.
No, that's all right.
Do you remember what page we were on?
I think we were on the master plan.
Yeah. Probably just comp plan stuff. Budget, comp plan, get involved. Yeah. I did get my tickets for the Honda campground. I spent $60 and I put in underpay.
I did want to publicly thank is it the water department that put in the water lines over at the dog park? It was done in a day.
It was Matt.
No, I
It
did not
was
do
so
that. That was-
fast. I drove through at one point and they were digging it up, and when I came back home, they were burying it, and I was like, heck yeah, guys, get this
Yeah.
done. They did fantastic, so.
I'll pass the word.
And I know it's also super helpful for it to be like, we got our part done, now we're just waiting, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I did comment today that we'd have our trail done before the dog park.
We shall see.
And that's a ballot initiative.
Are you gonna throw down the gauntlet?
Yeah.
I was just like,
Construction.
let's see.
Has Nicole Brown given any kind of like completion timeline on that?
Well, Jerry was here today, he said, hey, dog park's making progress.
It's got some posts.
It's been making progress for
So how is making progress?
4.5 years is what it's.
I can look into that.
It's happening.
In 4.5 years, we've had a complete changeover in our board, passed 2 sales tax in the bond, and built a bunch of stuff, and y'all got some posts.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I can't complain too much, it's happening, and
Yeah.
it's gonna be awesome, I'm super excited.
And it's cool you can visualize the outline now. so
Yeah.
it makes you
It's
see,
huge.
oh, it's gonna be so
Well, and
smooth.
I could, like, before, I haven't actually seen the post, because like I said, I've been in my house basically for a month. So I haven't driven by, I'm gonna drive by on the way home, but I drove out there at one point, I noticed a whole bunch of little white flags, and when I got out and like peeked at them, they were fence flags, and I was like, oh, that's where that is, so. It's a really good sized area, it's gonna be fantastic, there's shade, like the parking lot's nice, I love that like, through this whole process, they've paved the parking lot and put a year-round bathroom in it, so I'm like, it's an even better spot, it's just
Yeah.
fantastic, so,
I moved that we adjourn.
I want to talk about one more thing.
yeah,
The next 2 meetings fall on Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve.
this happens every year.
So,
Okay. We move it to a Tuesday?
We can do it on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, what else?
Yeah.
I won't be in town, so.
I mean, we don't know the official plan for the master plan stuff, so we could just use those as the meetings,
Yeah.
or we could schedule, you know,
I'm
Can we go
gonna
to a
say-
quarter, can we go to a quarterly schedule, like EDC? And then, and so especially since we're gonna be having the master planning meetings, we see each other through those.
mhm.
Just go to a quarterly schedule for for the next year.
You want to try to start that like
October.
July 1? Or like
A quarter.
the month of July, start doing quarterly?
October, January, May, whatever, yeah. April, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
October, April, January, April, and then June, July.
I can put that in, see what it looks like. Okay.
That sounds good. if there's anything, that's gonna come up and we need to meet
Yeah.
2 months in a row, like, I'm fine with that. It's
Mhm.
one day out of the month also.
I just know how much it took for us to do the comp plan and how many meetings we had. and
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
It was killing planning and zoning. 'Cause
yeah,
we can't not meet for planning, unless there's nothing on the agenda for sure.
yeah. Okay, I'll look into that.
yep.
All right, now
Does
you
anyone
can.
have anything else? If you wanna move to adjourn, again?
Maybe to adjourn.
All right.
All in favor,
All in
say
favor?
aye. Aye.